segment. So I suspect we're gonna do Professor Layton stuff now, and then go back to do the trial again. So man, maybe we really won't finish this week. Or no, I'll do an extra stream on Friday so that we can finish it. It's so quiet in here. There's not a sound to be heard. Let's be very careful, though, Luke. The puzzle we just dealt with is not necessarily the only one in this place here. In place here. Right you are, Professor. Let's proceed with caution. Let's proceed with puzzles. Bonk. Immediate puzzle. Is this what it looks like? It looks like a lift. They're called elevators, Luke. Indeed it does. It looks a lot like the kind of lift with which we are well acquainted. But we haven't seen anything else like this since we arrived in Labyrinthia. Yes, quite. In truth, I didn't think machinery of this sort existed here. I wonder what it's using as a source of power. Well, since there seems to be no other way up, does that mean we get to ride it? Indeed. That would seem the most logical course of action. I must say, I find the presence of such a device most intriguing. But we can't stand around pondering such things now. There will be time for that later. Onwards and upwards, my boy. Right then, let's go. I know I keep saying this, Luke, but beware Mukuro Ikusaba, the 16th student hiding somewhere in Hope's Academy. I'm with you on that one, Professor. Is it just going to be a puzzle gauntlet? Like, they're just going to have us go up this elevator and every floor they're going to stop and do a puzzle? Professor, we've stopped. What's going on here? Are we trapped? No, I don't believe so, Luke. Although I do get the feeling that something is about to happen. Something, Professor? What do you mean by something? Luke, stand close to me. Okay. Tower of Teller. Attack it. I use magic missile. A stone statue appears before you. Beneath it lies a panel with what appears to have been a crest of some kind, now a disjointed mess. Move the panels by touching the arrows that connect them and rearrange the pieces so that the crest is displayed. Oh, so it's just a puzzle. Can I... Oh, alright. So I can't turn it. Oh, and I'm trying to make that crest. So this has got to get all the way over there. What was that all about? That was the puzzle?
Let's see if I've proven
Weird.
myself.
Ba-da-ba-da-bum.
You should expect no less from a gentleman.
Correct. You can sense the approaching presence of a formidable foe in the shadows. Well, we've started moving again. It would seem. There he goes with the "it would seem." It would. So he's going too fast. I don't believe we're in the cliche. Rah. We stopped again. Another stage of the puzzle? Indeed, that would appear to be the case. I'll take on this one, Professor. All right, but don't overexert yourself. We'll need to work together to solve the rest of this puzzle. Roger that. Oh, okay. So they were just introducing us to that. Now here is the harder version. Okay.
I've already seen the answer.
Puzzles for
Ah, the joy of solving puzzles.
Sure, fine. I did it, Professor. You certainly did. Well done, Luke. But we're still not there yet, are we? Just how far is this lift going to take us? Well, judging by all the stages thus far, whoever put this puzzle in place is certainly keen that we don't reach the top easily. We still can't afford to let our guard down. Couldn't we see this tower from the outside? Was it billions of miles high? We stopped again. Where is Layton? He went to the storyteller's house, I think. Well then, allow me to take on this one. Okay, so this one is 6 turns at least, but still. You don't even really need to do them in the right order. That's how easy the puzzles are. Well, you kind of do, I
Already
guess.
seen the answer.
But
You should expect no less from a gentleman.
excellent. Is that all you have to say?
That was an exceedingly difficult puzzle.
Okay.
The next stop must be our destination.
I think you're probably right, Luke.
Well, this is it, Professor.
Animes.
It seems we have arrived at last.
Rose Garden. Wherever could we be? We found the secret castle Kumadorian.
Wow, this is certainly different. There are flowers and plants everywhere. I can even see a water wheel over there.
It is a beautiful place.
This evening breeze is a little chilly. So, is this the storyteller's garden then?
I think that's probably a safe assumption, Luke. Judging by the abundance of water and rose bushes, it's being well taken care of. I'd be inclined to say the tower seems more akin to a castle.
Who'd have imagined we'd end up in a beautiful place like this? Let's investigate.
Oh, come now. As if I need a hint coin. So where do they want me to actually go? It wouldn't let me go all the way over to the door before. This building is really something else. I guess this part must be the storyteller's house. Espella must have lived here when she was younger. Yes, indeed. This must have been her family home. Her family? I wonder if she had any plans to ever come back here. No matter where she goes or what she does, family is family. This will always be her home. I'd say it's highly likely that she would wish to come back here someday. I suppose so, even if her family was only the two of them. The relationship between Espella and her father may well prove to be an important clue. Yes, I was thinking the same thing. Huh? What's the matter, Luke? It's nothing. I'm probably seeing things, but for a moment there I thought I saw something moving at the top of the tower. Sorry, it must have just been my imagination. Let's go inside, Professor. This appears to be a child's room. It certainly looks that way. From its condition, I'd say it hasn't been used for some time. Presumably it was used by Espella as a child. Right. So this is where Espella grew up. Something pretty big must have happened to make her leave home so young. I wonder how Espella and the storyteller used to get on.
Espella is a young lady of strong conviction and a kind heart. I'm certain that's because she grew up with a fine home environment. In other words, I'm sure she and her father must have spent some quality time here together.
Yeah, I have a feeling you're right about that. For Espella, this place must be full of precious memories. I almost fear we're intruding coming in here like this.
But Luke, we have no choice if we wish to save Espella.
Yes, I suppose that's true. When you put it like that, I guess she wouldn't mind even if she knew. Tea party puzzle. No tea party puzzle. Coloring book puzzle. Crikey! Professor, behind the curtain. There's someone there.
The mysterious figure turned out to be
just a doll. Phew, that's a relief. My heart was in my mouth.
Espella must have played with this doll as a child.
Eh? What's this? Look, Professor, there's a child's picture book here. The title is The First Story.
It would appear to be a handmade children's picture book.
I wonder if it was written especially for Espella.
It may well have been. Evidently, a great deal of loving care has been put into the writing and illustrations.
There was a bad witch in the town, but then two brothers showed up with fought bazookas. All the carrots in the what? All the carrots in the field disappeared, and all the money in the bank was turned into pumpkins. But that's fine, just use pumpkins as money. Problem solved. Jeez, these people. People of this town had to put up with all kinds of mischief from the witch. They didn't know what to do. Then one day a brave young girl appeared and said to the townsfolk, "When the witch uses witchcraft, she always uses a big stick, doesn't she? So if we take away her stick, we'll be able to stop her." After hearing this, the people of the town set a trap for the witch and managed to capture her. At her trial, the bad witch said this to the people. "Even now, the legendary Great Witch Bezella is living here in this town. Bezella is the queen of all witches. She is the one who gives us witches life. The townsfolk punished the witch, and peace was restored to the town once more. To this day, Bezella is still hiding somewhere in the town. But the brave townsfolk will not be beaten by the bad witches. Who'd have thought there would be a fairy tale about Bezella? She's a mysterious character, all right.
Tell me, Luke, why do you think the author chose to write about Bezella in a children's picture book?
Huh? Well, maybe to make the child behave? Something like, if you don't do as you're told, Bezella will come and get you. Hey, Volton pays.
Yes, indeed. That is a possibility. Still, I have to wonder, why is it that some lowly witch was caught and not the great Bezella herself?
Well, I suppose it is a bit strange. If Bezella herself had been caught, the story could have been brought to a more conclusive ending. Do you think there's some other reason?
It's certainly a possibility. I don't suppose there are any other handmade picture books in the room apart from this one.
Handmade picture books? I don't see any. I guess that must be the only one.
Which would imply this book has some special significance.
I guess so. After all, it is handmade. I bet she really treasured it. Do you think it was the storyteller who wrote this book?
The handwriting does seem very similar to that of the story. This book appears to have been written with a touch more care and attention, but I imagine it was the storyteller who wrote it.
He must have written it as a gift from father to daughter. That actually seems kind of thoughtful, or really thoughtful, even if the story itself is a little scary. I'd like to take this book to a speller.
Yes, let's do just that, Luke. We must take good care of it.
Take the doll too, can't stop me. Oh, apparently you can't stop me. Fine. Do I have anything else I'm supposed to do? Wait, not a speck of dust. Didn't he say it looks like, from the condition, it looks like this room hasn't been used in a long time? Wouldn't you tell that specifically from dust?
I believe we've seen all there is to see here. Let's press on, Luke.
What do you make of this room, Professor? It's not very tidy.
This appears to be the very top room of the tower. The parchment lying on the floor here seems very similar to the type on which the storyteller writes his stories. I think we can say with some certainty that this is the storyteller's room.
Huh? This is the storyteller's room? What else would it be? Duh. I was imagining something a bit grander, like a throne room with all kinds of posh decorations.
While I agree that it's a little eccentric, it is unmistakably the study of an author. He probably spent all his time in here continuously writing those stories.
The stories. I wonder what Espella thought of it all. Her father writing stories for all the townsfolk, I mean. I wonder if she looked forward to seeing the new stories completed, or if she...
The stories were probably a little too mature in content for a young child. I don't imagine the storyteller would have shown Espella many of them.
But in that case, surely she couldn't have had many opportunities to even talk to her father, given how busy he was. I guess that means she was pretty lonely. It must have been hard for her, even knowing how important those stories are for the people of the town. But I don't think it's right. No child should have to be unable to talk with their father.
I absolutely agree, Luke. I believe it will be important in the upcoming trial to have an understanding of Ispella's feelings towards her father.
Professor,
Knowing you, Luke, I'm sure you must have a lot of things on your mind at the moment. So if there is anything at all that you want to talk about, you will tell me, won't you?
of course I will, Professor.
I'm always ready to listen, Luke. Now then, shall we start investigating this room?
Look, Professor, a photograph. I didn't think they even had photographs in this town. Right, it's all been sketches so far.
Indeed, it's not the kind of thing one would have expected to find here.
Too right. I certainly haven't seen any cameras about since we got here. There's no doubt that this is a photo, though. What could that mean?
This may be in some way related to the tower being so closely protected.
Remember all these Nat photographs? How could I forget?
What do you see in the photograph, Luke?
There are two children, both young girls. No, Luke, that's clearly one girl and one cat. The other one's a cat. It's Darkwa.
The photo looks quite old, doesn't it?
I wonder who they are. Freaking idiot.
Well, one of them is surely Ispella. There can be little doubt of that.
Hey, you're right. And look at that pendant. It's the same one Ispella always wears.
The fact that she's continued to wear it ever since shows just how important that pendant must be to her.
What about this other girl? Do you think she's a friend of Ispella's?
Indeed. I'd wager the two of them were rather close friends at that.
They do look pretty chummy, all right. You see, they even have the same pendant.
A glimpse into Ispella's past. This may well prove to be an important clue. I would like to ask her about it face to face. Let's borrow it for the time being. It's called borrowing, even if you don't ask the person if you can.
I wonder if there are any other clues knocking around.
Well, I'd say the something that you thought you saw moving earlier is a point worth pursuing.
But isn't this the last room in the tower? I must have just been imagining things.
Not necessarily, Luke. If I'm not mistaken, there should be a way of getting beyond even this room. Let's look around more closely.
Right you are, Professor. Oh, a musical puzzle. This is...
What is it, Luke?
This letter on top of the piano. This was evidence during that trial.
That trial, my boy?
Yes, the trial about Sir Belduke's death. The trial when you were...
Ah, you mean when I was turned to gold? In which case, this letter is the one that the storyteller's owl, Hoot, gave us after we last paid him a visit.
Well, yes, it is, but that letter was completely blank, wasn't it?
Indeed it was.
That was meant to be Sir Belduke's suicide note, which he'd addressed to the storyteller.
His suicide note, you say?
But Sir Belduke's butler swapped the letter for some plain sheets of parchment before it got delivered. And those blank sheets were given to us by Mr. Hoot, who knew something... who knew something was strange about them.
I see. I certainly missed out on some intriguing developments during my absence.
The real suicide note was revealed at the trial. But how has it ended up here?
Well, I imagine that's quite simple, Luke. It's likely that after the trial finished, the letter was returned to its rightful owner. It was addressed to the storyteller, after all.
I found this weird paper. It is weird because it's entirely mundane. Yeah. No, wait. Did we find blank pieces of paper on top, or did we find the original? I think we found the original letter, is what he's saying. Not the blank sheets of paper. I suppose the storyteller finally had a chance to read it then. Yes. In fact, it would be reasonable to assume that he most likely did so very recently. Perhaps even today, while sitting at the piano. What on earth was going through his mind here before that final parade? There's something we're not seeing here. We need to investigate this closely, Luke. What could it be? Surely this is not a trap of some kind. It's unlikely that a trap would be so obvious. Just a moment. There's some kind of puzzle in this piano. Musical score. Below the stained glass window is written, "When the stars have aligned, the goddess shall pluck her harp, bringing forth her serene song." Rearrange the music notes to create a lovely melody, but that's subjective. Oh. Do I have to wait until it comes all the way around to see it again? Right here. Well, that sucks. That's alright, so let me do the last. Oh, both of those are not right. That's this and this. This and this should be above the line. Fourth one is the really high one. We got that right at least. This is just above the line. This is in the middle of those two. And so these, I just need to. Is it up, down, down? No, it's like that.
I've already seen the answer.
Good.
That was indeed an
I was not
intriguing
100%
puzzle.
sure of that. They show it to you so briefly. Superb. A loud bang rings through the air as the celestials... That's not beautiful music. I thought it was supposed to sound beautiful.
Look, Professor! A stairway just appeared. Could there be another room above this one?
I have a feeling that the rooftop we saw from the garden continues above here.
Oh, I can see what you mean, Professor. It's really dark in here, but moonlight seems to be coming in from up above.
Well, there's no turning back now. The answer to the biggest mystery of all is surely waiting for us ahead.
I think so too, Professor. I wonder what on earth it could be.
The next step in the storyteller's story, if I'm not mistaken.
The next step? But the story has already finished, hasn't it?
Oh, you were talking about the owl. The owl... the owl was like, these pieces of paper are blank. How mysterious. The biggest mystery of all, who in the world were those girls on the photo? Is that a big mystery?
Not yet, Luke. It's still a little too soon for the ending.
I had a feeling that you, of all people, would make it this far.
It's you!
I thought so. You are still alive.
Professor Layton, I've had enough of your running around, flagrantly contravening the flow of my story. As such, I can no longer ignore your meddling.
Professor!
Thank you, my boy.
Kind of a goofy action segment. Oh no! Battle of Wits. All that the storyteller writes is destined to come true. Your opponent's attacks are no exception. Memorize the storyteller's tale and deflect your opponent's predetermined moves. That's not a puzzle. It's just memorization. Enemy knights will appear in accordance with the storyteller's tale. Memorize the order of their attacks and deflect them using the knight's own moves against them. Touch the icon and attacks will be below in the order you think they have one. I'm afraid your role in the story ends here, Professor. Now allow me to write the tale of your demise. Drew his blade. As the battle came to a close, raised his blade overhead, finishing blow. Oh, okay. Stab. Okay, center slash stab. So it's. Okay, so it had nothing to do with reading the words. It's just Simon Says. Well played, Professor, but how will you fare in this tragic tale? Spin, overhead, slash, chop, spin. Uh-oh. No. Crap, I forgot it already. Was that it? Ah, alright. Spin, chop, stab, stab. Think you worked it out, do you? Let us see if you can predict the ending of this final chapter. Vanish into thin air. These movements veiled in the abrasive shadows. Is this Shadowbringers? Is this actually secretly the whole time? This is the early release of Shadowbringers. Everybody get ready. What? Okay, maybe like I guess you could I could have seen 5 of them, but I was confused, so I didn't get it at all. I don't know. Chop, spin, no, slash, spin, chop, stab, slash. I don't like this at all. Oh, I got it though.
Already seen the answer.
Ba-da-ba-da-bum.
You should expect no less from a gentleman.
Writing stories has never had anything to do with reading words. That's true. When you open a book, there is supposed to be a video there. Marvelous. In this case, it would seem that the pen is not stronger than the sword.
Professor, behind you!
Well, now, that was close.
Yeah!
Storyteller, I'm afraid that the power of your pen is no longer absolute.
You never fail to impress me, Professor Layton.
This makes sense.
Just tell me one thing. What exactly are you trying to achieve?
You could say, I'm trying to lift the veil that hangs over the town.
If that is indeed the case, the answer lies in the final story. This very evening, the great witch Bazella will be tried, and all stories will end. You should take your place in the gallery and observe the final trial.
Permit me, if I may, to ask you a question, Mr. Storyteller. Why is it that you are here?
What?
You too should be watching in the gallery, watching as your twisted story unfolds.
My twisted story? What do you mean by that?
You must surely be aware that your story has already become twisted. Take our arrival in this town, for instance. Not to mention our being here at this very moment. Neither of these things could have happened in the story you wrote.
Not to mention me killing all of your knights, because I'm sure you didn't write. He was attacked by 4 knights who all died.
In other words, what I am saying is that you are no longer the weaver of the tale.
Who is the game master of this story? Is it Anji? It is as you say. The story I crafted has indeed been twisted out of proportion by someone else's actions. I am not surprised that you realized. It seems nothing passes by those sharp eyes unnoticed. That is exactly why I decided to write the grand finale. To prevent any further distortion. Do you mean to suggest that by ending the story, you could return this town to its original state? To its original state, you say? I'm afraid that is not the case. The final story flips to the front of the book. Well, they're in Japana, England. Phoenix flew all the way from Japanifornia to be in Japana, England, where they still read from right to left. The entire truth behind Labyrinthia is sealed by a single spell. That's right, the final spell. Finalia. The final spell, you say? When that spell is invoked, Labyrinthia's true form will become clear to all. What kind of spell is that? It is a spell that has always been hidden within plain view. What's that supposed to mean? Essentially, the final spell is concealed at the start. Is this the witness? The final spell is concealed at the start? What on earth are you talking about? Bah, I thought you two took it upon yourselves to unravel mysteries, do you not? Do what you will with it. Very well. Now then, I believe there's just one thing that you may wish to hear from me. And what would that be? Firstly, What would you say if I told you that this twisting of your story is leading towards a grand finale quite different to the one you had planned? What do you mean? This evening, you supposedly gave up your life to the Great Witch Bezella, did you not? As a result, the person thought to be Bezella is being tried in court at this very moment. Now, if you will permit me to ask, do you happen to know the name of the accused? Naturally, I wrote the name myself. There can be no question. Of course, the name of the accused is Espella Cantabella. What? What are you saying? You mean my Espella is... Yes, the accused at this evening's trial is none other than Espella Cantabella. That can't be. That's preposterous. This is your doing. What have you done, Layton? You ask me what I've done, Mr. Storyteller. I am but a solver of puzzles and mysteries. I do not concern myself with scheming. My Espella? Why? How is she the accused? Perhaps you ought to go and see for yourself, Mr. Storyteller. Do you think it's a good idea to just stand here lamenting your daughter's fate? What's to be done? Well, Mr. Storyteller, I will be returning to the court. I'd like to witness this grand finale with my own eyes. Ah, yes. Before I leave, there's just one thing I'd like to make clear. I do not intend to simply take my place in the gallery and observe the trial. Naturally, there is only one place for me to stand in order to unravel all of these mysteries. You mean to say that you will stand as the defender? Unfortunately, the defender's position is already taken. Moreover, Mr. Storyteller, I am the one who knows the truth. The true identity of the Great Witch Bezella, that is. How? How can you know? There is only one place at which I should stand in order to assert such a fact, and that is not on the side of the defense. Surely you can't mean... I anticipate seeing you again soon, Mr. Storyteller. To be continued. Oh, it's Faxon. Hello. I think somebody had mentioned earlier on, and it's like it doesn't matter too much as a spoiler, but had said like that eventually it would be Professor Layton versus Phoenix Wright, that they would be against each other, but that it would be a contrivance of the story, and not because they, you know, had opposing goals or anything.